What's going on, E-World? Good morning time, good afternoon time, good evening time, whatever the case may be when you're watching this video. This may be one of the last parts of this video. What is this? Part 6? I believe it's part 6. It's not the last part, but it's getting close. And it's one of the main parts that a lot of people want to see. And that is how to trace down Super 73's factory wires, or for all that matter, any e-bike's factory wires. Okay? And determine what's what. Now, as you can see, I had to pull the controller back down and everything, because I just had all that stuff tucked up in there temporarily when I did the little test ride. And we weren't finished, but I just wanted to test the controller out, make sure it was working properly as far as the throttle and everything, and making sure I had the rear wheel lined up, running straight. Because with them little plates that they have back there, you know, they can slide in and out, and actually you can make the wheel track crookedly if it's not, you know, adjusted properly. So anyway, I believe I got that tracking pretty straight. And like I said, got that axle lined up because, as I told you, I didn't care about the dropout and all that when I ordered this kit for this bike, just like I didn't care about front. And only reason being is because we were getting this conversion kit from Amazon, and Amazon doesn't have they may not always have the dropout that you're looking for in a particular kit. If you want a certain kit, like we wanted the 20-inch fat bike tire kit, they only come in a few sizes. I think it was 170 or 190, I don't know, whichever one. And I explained that dropout situation in another video where, I mean, honestly, if you're a DIY guy, you don't care about none of that, because you can make stuff align up right by using washers and spacers to move stuff in and out and all that. You know, those plug and play type installers need it to be exactly right. You know, like a plug and play installer couldn't do a hard wire like this. You know, they gotta have stuff that's ready to go, already wired up for their specific bike, where everything is plug and play, just like they say. You just plug it up and that's it. Now, they may feel like they're doing some real DIY, but not really if you just plugging stuff up. But anyway, we are teaching the hardcore tracing down wires and determining what they are by what they do, using multimeters and the e-bike tester or logic probe or test light, whatever. Old school DIY. You know, yeah, maybe you can go online and pull up Super 73 S2 wiring diagram somewhere, and somewhere online it may have what all these wires are. Who knows? But anyway, if you're trying to learn some real DIY, you don't always have that type of information available. So you got to figure out how you gotta learn how to do that without that information. All right, so enough said. Let me go ahead and get to it. Now, the first thing you want to do when you're trying to trace down a set of wires, say for instance these wires here, and figure out what's what, is, first of all, you got to use your common sense. That's the first thing you got to do. And before you start trying to figure out what's what in this harness, you need to see what's actually hooked to this harness. That's where you start. So remember how I told you these harnesses run through the tube. And if you can see up front here, I got a lot of distractions in the background. Let me move this junk back there. But anyway, one thing I did was take the little straps off to separate all these wires up front, because they were all strapped together. You need to take, whatever's holding the little wire tie or the little Velcro strap, whatever they have on these wires, holding them all bunched together. You need to take that off so you can see what's what. All right. And the reason why you want to see what's what is because, let's say you're looking for, this headlight wire. Before you even start looking for this headlight wire in this particular set of wires, you want to make sure that headlight is in that set of wires. Now, all right, here's the headlight wire coming straight from the headlight. If we trace that down physically and pull on it, we can see what wire is moving back here, and that would be this wire right here was pulling. So obviously the headlight wire is not going to be in this set of wires. You understand what I'm saying? You don't need in looking for the headlight wire in this set of wires, because it's on a totally different harness. So what we're going to be looking for first is what most people need. They need the high brake or the low brake wire. And most of the time that's going to be the low brake wire. And before we start searching that down, let me just explain to you the difference between high brake and low brake. Okay. Low brake input on your controller uses switch ground, meaning when you squeeze your brake lever, it's connecting ground to that low input on your controller. That's basically all that's doing. Your brake lever is a normally open switch, meaning when you don't have it pulled, that circuit is open. It's not making connection. When you squeeze the brake lever, it's closing that circuit. Okay? Now, when you close that circuit, it's taking the low brake input. That's the one we're using. This is the low brake input right here. And it's putting that low brake input to ground. That's basically all that's doing, is connecting low brake to ground. Now, this low brake input on this controller has the low brake input, which is, I believe that's that yellow. What is yellow? I ain't colorblind. And the other one is black, because it's ground. And like I said, all you're doing is connecting those two wires. That yellow wire to the black wire, which is ground. You're closing that circuit. All right. Now, those two wires that come from your brake switch go, and we're going to wire it into those two wires. But first, we got to figure out where those two wires are. All right. So the same thing like with the headlight. I can see this is the wire coming from your brake handle. This is the switch wire, the electrical wire. The other one is the hydraulic cable, so you know it ain't that. So here's the cable, and trace that down. That's in this harness right here. This harness has a lot of stuff on it, as you can see. But when you pull that harness, see that moving? That's this one right here. with all the wires on it. Okay, so we know that the brake switch wire is in this group of wires. All right, so that was the first and main part of that, making sure we got the right harness that we're looking for that wire. Now what I'm going to do is I'm flipping it over like that, and I'm sticking underneath that seat so it holds it right there. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is strip a little bit of insulation off of the ends of each one of these wires. It doesn't matter how much, just the nut, just a little bit, and strip the insulation off of each one and twist them up so the wires ain't all raggedy, scraggly looking. So we did that. I had them all pretty at first, but then it all came unraveled. So anyway, let me just twist all these ends nice and neat so they ain't all frayed at the end. Everything is nice and twisted tight. Okay, well, we got a couple more to do. Alright, so let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Alright, so see, each one of these wires has the end of insulation, pulled off, so we can see a little bit of the actual wire. Alright, now once we do that, we're going to fan all these out like a windmill. That's what I say. I'm going to make it like a windmill. That's kind of boring, but it's what you got to do so you can keep track. You don't want to keep testing the same wires. So if you got it like this, you know which wires you have checked. All right, see that? We got it all spread out like a little windmill or some spokes going around in a circle. Okay, now remember that I told you, wait a minute, zoom back out here, that your brake switch here is a normally open switch. So when you're not pulling on it, that circuit is open. When you squeeze it, it's closed. So what we want to do in order to trace down these wires, we want to close that circuit. So however you got to do it, wrap some tape around it. I'm going to use this wire tie, and so I can lock that brake handle down. You can wrap some tape around it, whatever you got to do. All right. That being said, when you close that circuit, that means it's going to be two wires in this group of wire that are making connection. And you're going to get your multimeter. You're going to need a multimeter. And you can I use the diode checker, because not only will that show you a reading on the meter, it will also make an audible tone. It'll beep. Let me show you what I mean. I'll stick my meter. Anyway, stick my meter up there like that. All right, you got your two leads. Now you're gonna see when you touch your two leads together. Hear that? It means it makes a beep. That means you have continuity, meaning you have connection. All right. Now, like I said, being so our brake lever is squoze, 2 of these wires should be making connection. Now, is that a lot of wires to be testing? Hell yeah. But anyway, you're going to have to start with one of these wires, and you're going to have to go all the way around to see where it's making, what other wires making contact with. So we're going to start with this pink one. It's going to be my starting point. Let me back this up a little bit. Back that thing up. Alright, so pink is my starting point. So I'm going to put one lead on the pink, and I'm going to go around the circle. Now, when I get that audible beep, that means that wire is making connection with something. Now, we might grab on these wires and go around this thing a couple times, and a lot of these wires ain't going to be making no connection. But you're going to have to keep going until you find the 2 that are making connection. Alright, so go with that red. Hold on. Matter of fact, let me start with this green. I'll start with the green. Go around. Nothing. 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 These 2 are touching. Nothing. 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 Okay. I'm going to do the pink. Do the same thing. Go around. Nothing. 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 I mean, this might get a little... You'll feel like you're wasting your time sometimes. Use this red one. Nothing, 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 nothing. Okay, so I found one. I found 2. I found 2 wires that's making connection. The black and the red, as you can see. I got one lead on the black and I got one lead on the red. Coincidentally, it's black and red. How about that? Alright, now, to make sure, even though we pretty much are sure, but it could not be. It could be something else that's making connection in one of the other wires. So to make sure that that's the brake wire, we're gonna unhook it up here. Alright. So now when I touch my probes on the black and the red wire, it's not doing anything. So that's it. That's our brake switch wire. I'm gonna see if I can squeeze the brake lever with my shoulder while I got this while I got the leads on there. Yep. So those are our brake wires, the black and the red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend those 2 out the way. Now that's all we need actually is, that's all I need on this job. I need the low brake. Well, I mean, I need to connect my low brake input. So that's all I needed really. But let's see if we can figure out what some of the rest of these wires are. And if you notice, first of all, on this harness right here, it's a whole lot of stuff that ain't connected to nothing. Like this one here, nothing's connected to that, nothing's connected to that. And actually, the only thing that is connected to that harness right here are both brake levers, because you got one going to the rear brake and one going to the front brake. And then the other thing that's connected to it is the throttle. So that means a whole bunch of these wires in here aren't going to test for anything. Because the only other thing that's connected in this group of wires is this thumb throttle. So how we're going to trace this down is we're going to unplug the throttle from its connector right here. Jeez. Okay. All right. Now after I unplug the throttle and look inside, it's got 3 pins in there, as it should, because throttles only have 3 wires. You got a ground, you got positive 5 volts, and you got the signal wire, which, you know, sends a certain amount of voltage to your controller. And usually that signal is between a 0.5 volt to like 4.5 volts. That's how, you know, depending on from a 0.5 volt up to 4.5 volt is max throttle. 4.5 volts is max throttle. Back down to a 0.5 volt is no throttle. Anyway, we're going to try to track these 3 wires down. So let me show you how I do that. I have a little alligator clip right here. See? And what we're going to do, almost the exact same thing we just did for the brake wire, except we're going to take this alligator clip and clip it to one of those little metal pins on the inside, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to be looking for continuity between that wire that I got my clip on and one of these wires up here on our thing. Now, we know it shouldn't be the red one because that's already the brake wire. Now, the ground, being as though it's black, and they use black and red, this black wire may be ground. So this black wire could be used for something else in this harness. It could be ground for everything. So just remember that. So we're going to test that wire anyway, but we're not going to worry about the red. So let's just go around here again. All right. Nothing. Okay, got a beep right there on the blue wire. So that means this blue wire is one of our 3 wires. Okay, so I'm going to bend this blue wire back out the way. So we don't keep testing that one. And then I'm going to remove my alligator clip and I'm going to put it on the next pin. And we're going to do the same thing. All right, let's go again. Okay, found another wire, and that is this pink wire right here. So that is the second of our 3 wires. All right, so we're gonna bend that one out the way. All right, and we're gonna move this to our last pin. Hopefully I'm not doing the same pin again. I didn't pay attention on that, but I think this is the think this, I think that's the last pin. Yeah, remember which pin you done already connected to in here, because that would have you testing the same wire again. So yeah, make sure you pay attention on that too. All right, let's see. As a matter of fact, since that was blue and the pink, it should be ground, so it should be this black wire. And exactly it is. Yeah, because you gotta have a ground in your throttle, so that only makes sense. So that ground is ground for the throttle, and it's ground for the switch brake. Makes sense. Now, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wires left. But those 8 wires probably aren't anything, because there's nothing else on this harness. So ain't no need in even testing the rest of them. Ain't nothing else hooked up. So we don't need none of the rest of these wires. I don't know what happened, but our camera cut off. But anyway, I'm gonna cut it back on. Alright, so I just connected the black and the red wire to our e-bike tester. Alright, now when I squeeze the brake, something should happen down here. See that? That's what's happening. When I squeeze the brake, that light is going out. Alright, so that's e-bike tester working good, letting us know that that's our brake wire for sure. Okay, now as far as the throttle. Now, we need to figure out, as far as the throttle, our 3 wires are going to be the black, again, is one of them. And then we got pink and we got blue. Now, one of those wires should be positive 5 volts and the other one should be signal wire. Now, just doing a good guess, I'm going to go with the pink being the positive 5 volt wire. So I'm going to clip the red lead on the pink. And I'm going to clip the green, which is the signal wire, onto the blue. Alright, like that. Now, let's see. I'm trying to do all this. Hold that with my knee. Grab this throttle. Now, when I hit this throttle or turn this throttle, something should happen too. In fact, let me move this light off so you can see a little better. Okay, see that? I'm twisting the thumb throttle. If you notice, that light getting bright and dim. So that is accurate as to what it is. So the throttle wires on this S2 are pink, black, and blue. The pink is the positive 5 volts, black is ground, of course, and the blue is the signal wire. According to our e-bike tester, it is working as it should. Alright, so there. We have just traced down our low brake wires, which was black and red, and our throttle wires, which was black, blue, and pink. I'm not the best teacher, y'all, but I'm trying, man. Trying to make this as easy as possible. And hopefully everybody got that on how we tested these wires right here and figured out what's what. Now, what I'm going to do, where my cut is at, being as though we don't need none of these other wires right now. Well, you know what? Being as though I got them on this plug, I'm not gonna cut them. I was gonna cut them off, but I ain't gonna cut them. I am gonna cut the little ends that we stripped back off of all of them. The little frayed ends, and we'll just tape all those back. Let me throw this stuff in the trash real quick. Okay. Alright, so here's my tape. Running out of tape, man. Went through a lot of tape yesterday. So we're gonna tape the rest of these wires back. Shoot, I could have taped, see, I ain't thinking. I could have taped my blue and pink wire back too, because I don't need them either. I was just showing y'all how to find the throttle wires. But I surely don't need them, because I got a twist throttle that I'm using. So I'm going to cut those ends off of the blue and pink too. And I will tape them back as well. Like I said, all I needed I'm trying to be frugal with this last little bit of tape, but I need to go ahead and wrap it around there. Pretty good. Alright. And I'm going to unhook it from the seat that I had it so y'all could see it. And only where I'm connecting up is these two right here to my low brake. And I'm going to be hooking black to black and red to the yellow. Bam. That's going to be it for me. And it ain't necessary for me to show y'all making that connection. But that's going to be my final electrical connection as far as that part goes. Now, I'm going to stop it right here. This video's been long enough for this part, so this will be part 6. When I come back on part 7, we're going to be going over, I'm going to have to hook up the lights, the headlight and the brake light. And the reason why I'm going to make that a whole separate video is because Super 73 has its own step down that I see up in here. They got their own step down. So we're going to figure out how we can, if we can even use their step down. I'm going to try to figure out a way we can use their step down. If not, I have aftermarket step down that I'm going to use, and we'll hook up the headlight and the rear brake light. Alright, so for now, that's it. Like I said, I'm going to make that connection. Then I'm going to put this back up in there, strap everything back up. As you can see, those are, remember we had all those wires that we didn't use. I put them in a little plastic bag and taped that up. So everything is taped up. So I'm going to strap everything up with some wire ties and put the controller back up in there and lock everything back down and call it a day on that part. Alright, so this is the end of part 5. Deuces. My bad, y'all. It's early in the morning. Gotta fix that ending. That's not the end of part 5. That was the end of part 6. Oh boy. So I think we will just have 2 parts left. Part 7, headlight and tail lights, the lights, and part 8 will be adjusting that rear caliper to align with the rotor, and then we will be done with this Super 73 72 volt economy build. What y'all think about it so far, man? And like I said, we have now made a Super 73 easily into a 40 plus mile per hour e-bike on 72 volts, and we did it for the low. You know what I'm saying? We use all budget stuff, which is going to bring the cost of this build, I already said that, to about $1,000. As you can remember, our controller, which looks like a little mini Saviton. Savitons look just like this. And this controller was $80, 70 something bucks. This battery we got, the UPP battery, was the most expensive thing. That was 600 and some bucks. And then the motor kit, you know, the kit with the motor and everything, the conversion kit, that was like 300 and something bucks. And then you're gonna get to repurpose the stuff that was in that kit, because the only thing we're using out of that kit is the motor. So if you got another e-bike you want to convert, you still got a controller, you still got everything else you need to build another e-bike except for a motor. All right, so anyway, that's that. Deuces, y'all. I'm out.